the Redmi Note 5 Pro. The surprise device that Xiaomi launched in India to ensure we weren't bummed out seeing yet another Snapdragon 625 phone. Well, let's be honest here, the Redmi Note 5, as good as it was underwhelming. The Redmi Note 5 Pro isn't, on paper at least. Now, is this the phone to buy? Is this the best budget phone this year? Well, let's talk about all that in a bit. But before we do, if this is your first time here, or in case you've forgotten, let me note it down. My name's Ash, you're watching C4E Tech. Here's where we crack a lot of corny puns. But still, we are also running a giveaway. If you've not checked it, here's a card to that along with the link in the description. And while you're down there, do drop us a like and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on our videos. Let's now get to the review. So as it's tradition here on C4E Tech, we start this review with a build. The first thing you feel when you pick this phone up is that, damn, this is narrow. And then you feel, damn, it feels solid. The first is thanks to that 18:9 panel, which again we'll talk about in a bit. The second is thanks to the use of metal. Now, Xiaomi's been using a metal body for most of their phones, even the budget ones for a while, so this is nothing new. That said, it still feels good. The 2.5D glass to the front and the curved edges to the back make this feel more ergonomic than a phone this size should be. The placements, well, there are a couple of changes. 1. The dual camera setup to the back. 2. No capacitive keys thanks to that panel. 3. There's an LED flash up front now. Barring these, it's pretty much business as usual. For an in-depth look at the placements, do check out our initial hands-on. Again, a card. Now, if you don't want to do that, well, here's the highlights package. Still micro USB, no Type-C, bummer. IR blaster retained, 3.5mm headphone jacks at the bottom, fingerprint scanners, rapid fast, has no accuracy issues. Now, well, all this is great. One of the biggest selling points for this phone is that display. This is a 5.99-inch IPS LCD panel with an 18:9 aspect ratio. The resolution is Full HD+. Now, when that's spread over 6 inches, we get a pixel density of around 400 pixels per inch, meaning it is quite sharp for day-to-day usage. The color reproduction is natural, the viewing angles are excellent, and this is a reasonably bright display, so using it outdoors shouldn't be a problem at most times. Now remember, this is supposed to be the same display from the Redmi 5 Plus, and when I tested that phone out, I wasn't too happy with the 4 corners of the display. Now that has been fixed here, it's not a problem anymore. Overall, Xiaomi's done an excellent job with the display. Think about it, it's not just with the display. Underneath the hood, for the first time, we are seeing a Snapdragon 636 chip. Now this is a very capable octa-core chip with the same custom Cryo 260 cores as found on the Snapdragon 660, which we've seen used on phones priced much higher. As per Qualcomm, the Snapdragon 636 should be a huge step up over the 625. The CPU gains are expected to be over 50%. And while I can't say if it felt 50% faster than the Redmi Note 4 or the 5, what I can tell you is that it felt really fast, faster than the aforementioned devices. Whether it's watching a video or browsing or jumping between apps, it all felt fluid. That's also thanks in large to MIUI 9. Now here's a con, this one's sadly built on top of Android 7.1 Nougat. I know MIUI is way too far from stock Android, but I still feel it's sad to see phones with Nougat in February 2018. This has been a pain point for Xiaomi for a long time, and here's to hoping they get better. Anyway, MIUI 9 here is great. It's got its own bunch of tweaks, and again, to know more about all the features MIUI 9 brings with it, here's another card. We have a dedicated video for it. It's quite a long video, as in there's a lot that MIUI 9 brings with it, so we kind of have a dedicated video that we keep referring to in all our reviews where the phones run on MIUI 9. Anyway, it is not just day-to-day tasks that the Redmi Note 5 Pro excels at. Even with intense tasks like gaming, the Adreno 509 GPU holds up quite well. It managed to run pretty much everything we threw at it. There are 4 and 6GB RAM options to go along with 64GB of onboard storage. The battery capacity is 4000 mAh, just like on the Redmi Note 5. So how does this battery fare? Well, pretty much like all other Redmi Notes we've seen in the last 2 years. The battery life here is excellent. On each of the 5 days I spent with this phone as my primary device, I got through my day with over 40% juice left. The 636 is quite power efficient. Remember, my testing days were what I'd call moderate usage. An hour of streaming videos, 2 hours of calls, 2 hours of music or Bluetooth, lot of push notifications, a camera sample here, a video sample there, you get the picture. One negative worth noting is that Xiaomi's not included support for fast charging. I really wish they had included that here. So what else? Yeah, the sole downwards firing speaker outputs reasonably loud and very clear audio. The quality of the audio output via the 3.5mm headphone jack, that was quite acceptable too, and we faced no issues with cellular reception or call quality. And now with that, let us talk cameras. This phone, it's got a huge focus on the cameras, so that seems to be a very important part of the Redmi Note 5 Pro. The primary 12 megapixel camera has an f2.2 aperture with 1.25 micron sized pixels, while the secondary camera, that is depth sensor, has an f2.0 aperture with 1.125 micron sized pixels. Note that this is the second time Xiaomi's gone with a dedicated depth sensor. Do you remember the first one? If yes, let us know in the comments. Xiaomi seems to have improved a lot with regards to portraits. The background blur is fairly natural, unlike the blur found on images shot with say the Honor 7X or the 9 Lite. The edge detection too is reasonably good for the most part. Overall, I don't think the portrait mode photos are as good as the ones we managed to shoot with the MIUI 1, because once in a while you do find a few blemishes here and there. That said, they are still better, or at least on par with the rest of the competition. Do you guys agree? Are you impressed by these images? Let me know in the comments below. Now it's not just the portraits, even the regular images shot under good lighting conditions, they turned out quite impressive. They're sharp, great detail levels. I'm sure you'll be stunned by how this water droplet has been captured. The colors are vibrant and true to life. The dynamic range is okay. It gets significantly better when HDR is turned on. That said, it's a little weird to note that there is no auto HDR option. It's super weird, especially because they've added auto HDR to the front camera. Anyway, the HDR processing itself is quite good. Look at the sun in this image. Now, under low light, the camera does suffer a bit, but it's still a marked improvement over the one on the Redmi Note 4. In fact, guys, this could actually be the same sensor found on the MIUI 1. Here's what we noticed from our little experiment. The MIUI 1's shutter speed goes as slow as 1/12th of a second under low light. The Redmi Note 5 Pro doesn't drop below 1/14th. Looks like Xiaomi's intentionally limiting the slowest shutter speed, doesn't it? What do you think? Anyway, the end results are quite similar. The software processing seems to be a bit different, and different doesn't really mean bad. Both the A1 and the Note 5 Pro perform well under low light. Xiaomi have upped their selfie game too to a whole new level. A whopping 20 megapixel sensor captures these selfies, and they have ample detail and good skin tones. The only problem is that at times it tends to overexpose the scene. There's also a portrait mode for selfies. Yes, it uses only one camera, but the results are almost as good as rear camera portraits. The background blur is quite strong. The edge detection is surprisingly accurate. Yes, you will see a few blemishes when you zoom in, but I think it's safe to say that most of us are going to be satisfied with these results. Now, speaking of things that surprised us, electronic image stabilization. Xiaomi's finally implemented it and it's amazing. Sundar was actually comparing it to the Pixel's EIS and even argued that this is on par. I know, weird, but of course he felt Apple did everything much better. I mean, let's not get into that now. Here's a small clip of him just holding the camera pointing at the same subject. Look at the edges, you'll notice that there is absolutely no movement. Good job, Xiaomi. Of course, there is a huge crop. If you want a wider field of view, you'll have to lose out on the EIS. That's to be expected, but what isn't, or rather wasn't expected, was those focus hunting issues. They return, they keep plaguing the Redmi segment, and I don't know when Xiaomi is gonna fix this. I really wish they'd fix it sooner rather than later. Another negative here is that for some reason this phone does not come with 4K video recording capabilities. It's all the more perplexing given that the Redmi Note 5 does have 4K, and why the higher chip, the Snapdragon 636 on the 5 Pro, doesn't support it right now. I feel this is more of a software issue which I hope to see Xiaomi address really soon. Now, barring this, the quality of the footage is good. It's quite sharp for a clip from a phone in this segment. The colors and the dynamic range are okay. Xiaomi's efforts in bringing a better camera to the Note series is evident from the pictures and videos. But again, there are the few negatives that I mentioned. And with that, we get to the price. The Redmi Note 5 Pro is priced at 14,000 rupees for the 464 and 17,000 rupees for the 664 variant. Now, at these prices, it's hard not to recommend this phone. It's an excellent package. Xiaomi's again put together a wonderful mid-ranger. Now, between these two variants, what should you choose? If the 464 didn't exist, I'd call the 664 a great deal. But given that it does exist and 6 gigs of RAM doesn't do too much, I mean, of course it gives you bragging rights, but it doesn't really give you a lot more than that. So I'd probably say pick the 464 variant and be happy. 14,000 rupees. It offers excellent value for money at that price. There's absolutely nothing that comes close. Xiaomi's done a great job, and this gets a huge thumbs up from us. Now, talking about thumbs up, how about you give this video one? Or a thumbs down if you didn't like it, but either way, let us know. What do you think about the Redmi Note 5 Pro? Have you checked out our giveaway yet? Let us know in the comments below. So I guess that's it for our review. Share it with friends and family, anyone you know who might be interested in this phone, and subscribe if you haven't yet. If you've already subscribed, turn on notifications so that you get notified each time we upload a new video. So that's it for now. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, this here's Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye bye.